Hello again, this is Sebastian Keynes. This is another Dragonheir Silent Gods presentation. So if you've decided to try out this game and now you are here right at global launch, or you are just starting a new account and you're trying to decide on what to do, well, here are a couple of tips that can help you get started. The first thing is you're going to see that you're going to have a choice on your character or your traveler in what, what skin essentially or design you want to have. For Season 1, they added the lizard folk as one of the options. You have your human, the half-elf, and the dwarf. So you can go ahead and pick up whichever you want. Each one of these has different characteristics in terms of their strength and intelligence, dexterity, and charisma and wisdom, etc., which kind of help you during the open world along in terms of fulfilling some challenges. But you will have the opportunity to upgrade these as you go along in the story. And what I found, at least for me, is that I like to have intelligence and some dex, and then charisma, because in charisma you can get away, you have a greater opportunity to get away from stealing, which is what you're going to try to do from most of the merchants that you run across, so you can save your gold. And then you have the dexterity, and then the intelligence. The intelligence is for the puzzles and any questions that any questions that you may get thrown at you during the event. The strength does come in handy. So essentially, whichever you wanna, it's not going to be detrimental to you during the early gameplay. You can just go ahead and choose whichever one you like the most. You can then, pick colors, hairstyles, clothing styles, whatever fits you in terms of how you want them to look for Season 1. That is the character you're going to go along with for the rest of the season and the venture. So here I am in the early stages of this open world here of Dencha. I am in Nytheria. I'm opening up most of the domains so I can level up most of the characters, and I'm also opening up dungeons. So I'm here one step away from opening one of the first dungeons where I can officially start getting some rare and epic gear if I can progress along and go on and moving up into the harder stages of the world. A couple of things to keep in mind as you get familiar with the early start of the game. You are going to start, of course, in the Chaos universe, where you're going to go through the first couple of levels, and you're going to find along the way, you're going to start finding some starlight dice, some worm arrow, and gold, which are resources that you are going to need as you progress through the game. But one of the things that you want to keep a close eye on and start familiarizing yourself with is your camp. And this here, I pretty much open every stage of the camp that I'm going to need. Primarily you're going to want to familiarize yourself with the cooking materials and recipes, and we'll cover that in another video of the type of recipes that you may want to bring along. And so in the example here, if you get two of these wheats, you're going to get a biscuit. Why is this essential? Because in the early stages of the exploration, and as you are developing your characters, you're going to have food that will give you extra stats for battles. So for example, the biscuit here is giving me an extra max HP of 4%, and in this case here, the shrimp is giving me a defense of 4%. If you have like the vegetable salad here, it gives me accuracy of 10. And so as we start finding more recipes, we can get better stats out of the food that we cook. As you travel the world, you want to be talking to the merchants. the merchants, you see them along the world, and you're going to try to steal some materials from them. But if you're unsuccessful at stealing, you can buy these with gold, which are cooking books, and it actually gives you an indication of the first type of food that you can make to get these extra stats that you can use for battle, especially if you're with your initial gear, you're having problems, meaning like the accuracy that you're going to need to be placing debuffs on this game. So take an opportunity to go through these, and it's a good rundown of the type of materials that you can get as you go along. And also don't ignore, make sure you get the maps, because that will unlock the world and you can keep exploring as you go along. Another facet of the camp that you're going to familiarize yourself with will be the forge. So you're going to have these iron ore materials that you are going to be gathering early on. I would just come in here and get some gear, just say, okay, let me forge some pieces, and use these pieces to help you, get some gear on your first set of characters that you're going to be using, and then eventually you're going to be upgrading, where you can then use these rares, so you can get rare materials, and then you'll eventually, as you progress through the world, you'll be moving up to epic and legendary artifacts, legendary gear. If you participated in the Outer World Horn event, you'll have one in camp here, where you'll be able to blow the horn every 12 hours. Mine has still a refresh of 7 hours before I'm able to do so. In game, you're going to have the probability of possibly calling legendary from this horn, and then you'll get to keep it. But my understanding, at least from the beta and all the conversation, all the screenshots that I saw from people getting legendaries from this Outer World Horn, not every legendary is available through this. I think it's just the certain batch that you can get from the horn. Get familiar with the drilling ground. This is, so at first you're going to go through the tutorial here. It'll show you the mechanics of the game in terms of how to deal with elemental affinities and position deployment. It gives you hints as to what you're going to need to do if you have a boss that places debuffs on you, and it kind of gives you an example of heroes that you can use to combat those specific scenarios. But I also like to come in here into the drilling ground, because here you can bring in any hero that you want. You can then specify how the level that you want the enemy to be at, and then how long you want the battle to be. In this then situation, then you can then test out damage. If that is what you're going for, you can test accuracy, anything that you may want to test out of the hero to see how it performs for you. So you see here that I'm getting a sense of how much damage this hero is doing, and it kind of gives you an idea early on of if the character is going to do for you what you imagine it to do. So for example, if you have let me exit out of this. If you, for example, have your adventure and fire, and you're gonna get a day 3, you're gonna get Horus, and then let's say that you pull an epic that has a wild, a couple of epics that have wild in them, and you want to test out if you can get that mechanic, just bring him in here and just quickly do a test and see how much damage they do for you. And the reason that I'm going to tell you that this is integral at the beginning is because for a couple of days, you are going to have the opportunity to reset characters if you don't like them early on. So for example, here we have the Clepsyria Torrent. In my case now, I'm down to 4 days and 6 hours since I started on the test server, you're going to have about 7 days to test this out. So let's say there is a hero that I did not like how it performed. So let me see if I can find somebody that I brought up to, like this one here. So I'm going to say confirm, and then I'm going to say rebuild. So what's going to happen is anything that I invested on this hero, you're going to get it back, and now you can go ahead and put those materials into another hero. You can keep doing this for the first 7 days as many times as you want. There is no limit. So you can keep recycling the materials, and you can then decide which core you're going to form early on to help you clear the first stages and get you to the end game level where you can just start farming your epic and legendary gear, and then you can then start thinking about which heroes you're going to then bring down to the fall down the line if you're going to have a very robust roster at the beginning. Another thing is keep an eye on events here, because you're going to get resources for doing just general stuff. So an example here, you're going to have the hard training always. This is always going to be on. So you're going to be accumulating points as you are developing your heroes, you're ranking them, you're leveling them. And once the tournament ends, you then get the rewards based on the number of points that you were able to accrue. Here I'll give you an idea of what you need to do to collect Urk, and then apparently there'll be Twitch drops later on, and then you can get some extra resources once you start connecting to Discord or Facebook. Like I said, Horus is a day 3 reward. He's an excellent defender, so you for sure will be starting with 2 fire and 1 poison heroes, because you're going to have Cassandra. So that is your core that will give you the elemental affinity that you're going to need for some of this battle, so you can get extra stats out of it. So how does elemental affinity help in this game? So for example, here I have 3 frost heroes, and I have 1 necrosis and 1 fire. So at this time for this season, the pair-ups are going to be frost is going to be paired up with necrosis. We're going to have radiance and lightning, and fire with poison. So when I team up my set of heroes, if we have 3 of them that are within the pair up of the elemental affinity, I am going to get a bonus, which is in this case right now, because it's still early on, it's going to be attack percentage, defense percentage, and HP. You're getting these extra stats on your heroes. Now, let's say that I take my adventurer. Now one of the things that you can really that you can do with your adventure is you can switch them to an affinity that is going to give you either the debuffs or buffs that you might need for that particular battle, or to make a better pairing within the core that you're deciding to start with. So let's say for this example, I'm going to turn them to frost. So now, instead of having 4 1 affinity and 1 mismatch, now they all 5 match within the elemental affinity pairing, and now I get this bonus effect that can then be upgraded in the Psycho Core. You are going to be developing the Psycho Core as you go along in the story. Your Psycho Core, you're going to be able to access it here. And you have the elemental affinity here. And once you get this affinity solvents, once you have enough affinity solvents, you can come in here and upgrade your Psycho Core. So for the first step, you're going to be getting an HP boost. And then you can decide on whether you're going to be upgrading your defense or your attack. And after that, it moves on based on the actual pair up. So let's say that your main core was radiance and lightning, then you may want to probably come in here and give them that HP boost here and an attack up boost here. Okay, and that's how you then develop your Psycho Core as you start the game. Finally, the last tip that I'm going to give you is in regards to summoning. So far through my adventures, I've been able to accrue 2 Healite dice, and from what I'm seeing, they're actually being a little bit more generous and giving them out early on in the game as you progress. There will be a battle pass, the Walker's Trails here, and as you complete tasks within the day or the week, you're then going to be able to gather experience, which will then unlock all of these resources that are very handy for you, and you're going to get 2 Healilites out of this. If you're going to be a spender in the game and you want to just unlock all of this with Wormer, you can, but I would just take it slow and get these resources as you need them. You're also going to get resources as you upgrade your level. and you're going to get stamina from this, and you're going to get worm arrow and potions and gold and etc. So that aspect of the game, I think that they did listen to us a bit, but I am going to keep an eye to see how many of these healer dice I can actually accrue, because I think a lot of people are going to get tied up with the get a legendary within 80 summon event, and a lot of free-to-play players may not be realistic to achieve that, but I think that if they at least give you 35 or so to at least get to pity 1, so you can accrue 1 legendary along with Eric, that you will be fine. And this game, you can beat it with epics and rares really easy. The rares in this game are amazingly functional. Hexandra, in some situations, was an end game character, and you got her for free at the beginning of the game. So far, I have 47 Starlight dice, so conceivably here I could get 2 epics, and those epics are going to fill out your roll very nice for you. And as you keep going through the game, you're going to get more of these, and hopefully you can summon some great epics as you go along the way. After global launch, you may come to a screen like this, and the first 2 servers, from what we've been told, was going to be Fountain Interplanar 1 and Fountain Interplanar 2. My plan is to join other content creators in Fountain Planar 2, and we will be forming a guild there. If you're interested, I will post server invitation code in the description of this video in case you are interested in joining me in Fountain Interplanar 2. And if you do, then I will see you there. I will be will be using my beta account in that server as we start the global launch. Thank you all for tuning in and watching, and I will see you all next time on another Dragonheir Silent Gods video.